I say thank you very much for joining. Weddings abroad are becoming more and more popular. They've always been around, they've always done it, but year after year, the companies and the tour operators and the wedding specialists and things like that have obviously really started to realise just what people want when they're getting married abroad. So you're finding that your options are much bigger. Your add-ons, if that's the right way to put it, there's a much wider range of what there once was. So I just thought I'd go through a couple of bits. Now, obviously, I'm only touching on weddings because you could go into it for hours and hours. So what I've decided to do is I've decided to do a bit of a presentation. It's nothing major. It's not a long-winded thing. On that presentation, I have focused on TUI and I focused on sandals. There is very much a watch this space for future tour operators who also do wedding packages. But I just thought for now, those two would probably be the main focus. I've also ever so slightly dipped into cruise weddings, weddings on board cruises, but you'll see that I've only very, very slightly touched into that. It's not a huge market. I don't really know why. I imagine it probably is in the likes of America and places like that where they do a lot of the 3, 4, 5 day cruises. But obviously over here, if you wanted to go on a Caribbean cruise, you're certainly not going to be going for less than a week, and realistically probably more so 2 weeks. So I'm not too sure if that's why there's less of a market, but it's certainly something that we can push. It's certainly something that's available, readily available to us, and more cruise suppliers are doing. So yes, I've touched into that very briefly as well. So yes, unique opportunities in weddings abroad. So it is a very, very niche area, I suppose. It's not necessarily something I would advise to do only, if that's the right way to put that. I don't think I would necessarily put yourself out there as an abroad wedding coordinator or something like that straight off. I certainly know people that do that. And in fact, I met a wedding coordinator in Mexico a few years back who started as a travel agent, ended up for whatever reason kind of diverting herself into a little bit of a specialist market with regards to weddings. And she had built herself up absolutely greatly, like I say, to the point that she was actually in Mexico just putting together any final touches for her client. So it's certainly something that can be done. I just think with it being such a niche area, not niche as in odd or strange or different, just it's very much one of those, you can have 5,000 people that are getting married. How many of them are actually getting married abroad, So just one of those things. You've got the opportunity, but not necessarily to start out as simply doing weddings. But with regards to your clients, obviously they can choose to spend their day pretty much anywhere in the world nowadays. Like I say, more and more people are getting married abroad, meaning that more and more options need to be available. So we're going to go into a little bit of TUI, we're going to go into a little bit of sandals, and we're going to see the kind of areas and the kind of things that they do with regards to weddings. So with regards to TUI, so the package options that they have kind of tailor to meet pretty much anybody's needs. If you think of it almost as like a bronze, silver and gold kind of packages, you'll find that they do different tiers for a lot of their destinations, a lot of their hotels, a lot of their ceremony areas. So it basically just means that for those who maybe have 4 people going with them can be catered for. And on the flip side, those that may have 40 guests going with them could also be catered for without anybody, feeling any kind of way. And destination wise, I haven't really put anything in here about destinations. There is a slide in a moment that kind of picks a couple out, but I have got the brochure up to be able to go through with you after the presentation. But they do short haul, mid haul, and long haul destinations. And you can go from, your Spain right the way through to your Mexicos, your Maltas, as well as Lapland, Iceland. So they have a few different types of weddings as well. I think a big misconception is a wedding abroad, hot and sunny. But actually, my best friend's sister got married in Iceland. Cancelled initially during COVID. So that must have been now maybe 3 years ago. And I weren't there, but photographs alone just show how absolutely gorgeous it was. And customizable experiences. So as I was saying, you can personalize your experience, and that can be from flowers, your bouquets and your buttonholes, through to chair covers for the ceremony, obviously music and all of that kind of thing. You can add on hair, you can add on makeup nowadays, you can add on photographers, as well as obviously your reception for nighttime and things like that as well. And with regards to the planning service, so this is where, for us, it's really, really good. So we book the initial package. So this is obviously just from a TUI perspective. So we would book the client's holiday. Let's just say, for instance, they are going to the Olympic Lagoon in Paphos, just because I know how popular that is. So you would book the Olympic Lagoon holiday. You've already checked that you can do a wedding at the Olympic Lagoon, and obviously you've been through that with your client, the options, the costing of the wedding package, etc., etc. You would book your wedding couple or wedding family on their holiday, as you would do any other holiday. You fill in the wedding form. You either send it to your client and ask them to fill it in and send it back to you, or of course you can do it on their behalf and get it sent off. And that's pretty much, to a degree, your job done. Now, you will get some clients who want you to then do quite a few extras for them. So using Cyprus as an example, because of how popular it is with TUI, you do get a full wedding pack. Once their date and time has been confirmed, you get a full wedding pack with all of the extras and things in there. So if they want a limousine to the to fill in the paperwork, if they want like I say, the hair, the makeup, the DJ, all of that kind of thing, and you can add those on. Some people will just realize in that pack that they can contact the wedding planner and do it themselves. Some people will wait until they get out there because they want to see the venue and get a feel for it. Others will ask you to do these things for them. So there is planners in place, but please bear in mind that you may also be asked to help out with these kind of things. But to be honest with you, when I worked for TUI in the past, in my store, I was the wedding specialist, and I can tell you, no matter what your client wants to add on and they want to do it for you, even though it's not you getting married, it's so exciting. It's actually a really, really nice thing to be doing for your client. And then with regards to Sandals wedding packages, so they offer all-inclusive wedding experiences that cover everything from the ceremony right the way through to the reception. So where that is different with TUI is that you don't have to have a reception. Some people will book an all-inclusive hotel and they're happy to just have, a section of the all-inclusive restaurant cordoned off for their, an evening meal, or they may want to add a reception on, and that's obviously an extra cost. And that can be as big or as small as they wish. But with Sandals, you can include a full experience, which includes absolutely everything. And then they know what they're getting, they know what they're paying prior to arriving. Personalised services, so they can personalise the wedding package with, again, very, very similar, a range of options, It might be that they want specific flowers, specific cake designs, specific decor, entertainment. I've seen in the past where people have added on those big light up letters that you see at parties and things like that. You know, the Mr. and Mrs. and what have you. I've seen a hotel in Cyprus where you can add on candy carts and all of that sort of thing. So the personalised services, the extras that you can add on. Scenic beachfront venues. So obviously, if your clients are wanting that postcard picture perfect scenery for the backdrop of their wedding, then obviously with regards to sandals being in the Caribbean, it's the absolute perfect choice for them. And following on legalities. Now, I've very much briefly touched on this, again, just for different reasons, but I will just very, very quickly run through. So required documents. So of course, to go anywhere abroad, you need your passport anyway. You will always need your birth certificate for the marriage side of things, the legality side of things. The other thing to know is that it will ask you, well, you'll always need a copy of your long birth certificate. Now, a lot of people nowadays have the short version of the birth certificate, but they are very, very easily ordered. So if anybody does ask you, you know, say, I don't have that, or what does that mean? The short and long versions, and yeah, they're very, very easily ordered online. Residency requirement. Oh, sorry. Also, if you've been divorced before, you will need like a decree absolute. If you've had a name change in the past, you'll tend to need the documents for that. 9 times out of 10, it's pretty straightforward of what people need. Adoptions and all that kind of thing can obviously make it a little bit more complicated, but you'll very rarely come across that. And when you do, we'll deal with it together. And then residency requirements. So most countries do have a residency requirement. So what that will mean is you have to be in the country for X amount of days before you can actually legally get married. It doesn't include the day you arrive, and it doesn't include the weekends. Now, with most places, it's very, very easy to get around. If you've got somebody who wants to get married as soon as possible, then the best way to do that would be trying to fly them out on a Sunday, because you're kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone there, in the fact that it is a weekend and it's the day that they arrive. So instantly, let's say for Cyprus, you have to be there for 4 days before you can legally get married. You've landed on Sunday. So that's the day that you've arrived, which means Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you can legally get married from the Friday. So when you're filling in that form, or when your clients are filling in that wedding package form to get sent off, they will request 3 dates. And obviously they would want their first one to be Friday. So there's ways around it if people want to get married, you know, as soon as possible, etc., etc. And then compliance with local laws. So regulations can vary, including how many witnesses are required, if any, restrictions on the type of ceremonies. So some ceremonies are legal, some are just blessings, but again, you'll know that in advance, so that is certainly nothing to worry about. Popular destinations for weddings. I could have filled page upon page here, but I just thought I'd pop down a couple of different ones. So Jamaica, for somebody who's after, you know, the Caribbean. It's known for being lively, it's vibrant. Obviously, you've got the weather, you've got the beach, you've got everything that you'd need in the way of a backdrop. But you've also got the fun side of it as well. Italy, completely different. You cobbled stones. I don't believe you can get married on a beach at all in Italy. Not saying that they don't have them. I just don't think that you can legally get married on a beach in Italy. That may have changed, so please don't quote me. But the good thing with Italy is that whereas with a lot of these places, let's say Jamaica, for example, they're all going to be hotel weddings. With Italy, there is a lot of different venues that you can actually get married. So there is local churches and local halls, rather than it having to be the hotel that you're choosing to stay in. So they can be absolutely gorgeous as well. And then Thailand, I've just popped in there just because, again, it's somewhere different. It's a complete opposite side to the Caribbean, but you're still getting the luxury, you're still getting that backdrop, that sort of postcard image, and also easier than you would think it would be, perhaps, to get married in Thailand as well. And moving on to the next. Sorry, this is just an overview there. So for TUI, you've got the variety with regards to the destinations, the tailored packages, able to sort of meet the needs of smaller parties as well as the bigger ones. Little extra touches. The bride gets an extra 5 kilograms for her wedding dress. And you can actually get a specific wedding dress box if you want to, all of that kind of thing. Obviously, they're a very big tour operator. So the other good thing with somebody like TUI is you may be going as the wedding couple, you may be going for 10, 11, 14 nights. Some of your party may only want to go for 7. Others may only want to go for 5. And obviously, with regards to how many flights and things they do, that's a lot more accessible. And so not everybody has to go for the full duration. And you can also find that a lot of hotels will allow day guests. So going off the hotel I mentioned earlier in Cyprus, the Olympic Lagoon, is very much a 5-star luxury all-inclusive. You may have aunties, uncles, grandparents, parents, whoever it may be, that just want a 3-star self-catering property, and a 5-star all-inclusive isn't their thing. What you can then do is you can find out the cost of a day pass, which will include everything with regards to the wedding. If they've got reception, it's almost like paying for an all-inclusive pass for the day, meaning that they can stay where they want for however long they want and have obviously access to the hotel for the wedding day. And then Sandals, of course, specialises in luxury weddings in the Caribbean. Their packages can include all-inclusive options that will cover everything from morning through to, I'd say, the late AM. So anybody, and you've got that luxury, you've got that premium side of things. We kind of all know what Sandals is about. So I'm sure you can imagine their weddings as well. Just one very, very quick slide at weddings at sea. So they are becoming more and more popular. Companies including P&O, Princess, MSC, Royal Caribbean, Cunard, there are many others. They do offer ceremonies at sea. The reason I've put ceremonies at sea there is that some do renewal of vow packages, as well as the wedding packages as well. So if you do have somebody who wants something maybe a little bit different, it may not even be something that they're aware of. They may not know it's a possibility. It's always just worth asking the question or throwing it out there. So yes, weddings at sea as well. Now, with regards to the presentation, that is the end of that there. But what I have done is I have brought up, so this is accessible to anybody, the TUI weddings brochure. Now, obviously, I'm not going to go through 148 pages, but what I did want to just show everybody is a few pages in here. No. So you can see here, there's legal, there's religious venues, the symbolic, renewal of vows, renew your vows on a cruise. Again, obviously, that's the Morella, the TUI cruises. Winter weddings, beach weddings. You've also got same-sex weddings here. And as you can see, even before we get into the sort of meaty bit of the brochure itself, it tells you straight away for the same-sex weddings. In Croatia, you can do a legal. In Mexico, you can do a legal. The same with Italy, the same with Greece. So, and for the other areas, the Dominican, Tenerife, Ibiza, Mauritius, and Cyprus, for same-sex weddings, they are symbolic. rather than a legal marriage. So I just wanted to show you that there, because these are questions that are going to come up, and you just need to be aware of how accessible they are. Let's see what we've got here. A bit of a timeline of the planning. So obviously this will depend for everybody, but you can book a wedding package 18 months or so in advance. For certain areas, Cyprus being one of them. There you go. If you have your heart set on a wedding in Greece or Cyprus, you can book your wedding 2 years in advance. So the holidays themselves probably won't actually be on sale. But Cyprus certainly is such a popular destination to get married in because of how easy it is, etc., that you can actually confirm your wedding date without being able to even book the holiday. People do it, and they do it very, very often. And then obviously they're just giving you a little countdown on what to do. Excuse me. About talking to your wedding planner if there's anything you want to talk to them about, where you'd start getting your documents together, all that kind of thing. There's a few questions here. The booking process, obviously this is for clients direct, so they're just going to come through to you. But for anybody who does maybe need to look through those, you may get some answers that you didn't realise you even had the questions for. And then best for romance, best for adventure, best for the beach, and best for luxury with regards to the honeymoon, because obviously you are opening that up as well. Rio has always been a very, very big partner for the TUI brand. So you can see there that they've got their own page in the brochure. And with regards to what I was saying earlier about different tiers of weddings and things like that, they are down there as well. Thank goodness it's not at the back. This has always been a lifesaver for as long as I have booked or looked into wedding packages for. So it tells you here before you even start the required documents, how long you need to be in the country for, depending on where you're looking at. So you can see along the top there, depending on which country you're looking at getting married in, will then depend on what you need. So see what I was talking about earlier with regards to the birth certificates. You can see all the way along there, it says full, apart from Mauritius, which is very odd. But that is the long version of the birth certificate. Minimum residency period. So how long, and again, excluding the day of arrival, weekends and bank holidays. So how long you have to be in the country for before you can get married. Notice Greece says 4 to 7. What I would say is most of them are actually 7 days. So something to point out, you will always find that people love the look of getting married in Greece. It looks absolutely stunning. When you then start going into this kind of thing, it's not a case of putting people off at all. They just need to be aware that they are realistically going to have to be on holiday for a full 2 weeks. In order to be able to be there for the full 7 days. You're going to have a weekend included there, etc., etc. You can see where I'm going with that. Documents required. So if you need a statutory declaration, certificate of no impediment, you'll always need a decree absolute if you've been divorced. You'll always need a death certificate and previous marriage certificate if you're widowed, adoption certificate if you are adopted. They are always a must. With certain documents, you can see some are, some aren't required. So that there is an absolute lifesaver with regards to the legalities. I don't think there was really anything else I needed to go through as such here. This is now going into the destinations and the hotels that are available. So we're in Ibiza. Just flicking through here, obviously, I'm not going to go sort of right the way through or anything like that. Mallorca. And if I just take you to Cyprus, just because I know how many there are, it's such a biggie for them. So you've got your luxury 5-star hotels here for Cyprus. And there's the Olympic Lagoon that I was talking about. Just going to keep going a bit further. Different areas of Cyprus as well. And then you can see here that changes, and you've got St. Nicholas Chapel. So if people are wanting to maybe do the big la-di-da fancy hotel ceremony or so, you know, anything like that, you've got St. Nicholas Chapel. You've got St. Paul's Pillar. You can see here it's not all big in your face 5-star all-inclusive hotels. They also do yacht weddings. Town halls, etc., etc. Italy, you've got museums. You've got the cloisters of Francesco. Sorry, I've booked a couple of weddings here to the cloisters. What I would say is they have a couple of different areas that you can get married, and it books up very, very quickly. This really is something that you would need to. This is what you're looking at. Okay, let's get this filled in. It books up really quick. Town halls there, you can see there, Malchesney Castle. So again, lakes and mountains, that's something a little bit different. So Malchesney Castle is Lake Garda. So it doesn't even have to be your Sorrentos and places like that you go to so often. Castle, Malchesney Palace. I mean, they look absolutely gorgeous, don't they? But yes, you've got a range of options in there as well. Right way. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Just making sure there's nothing major at the back there. So that's just a little bit of an overview of the TUI brochure, what you can find in there, the information you're going to be able to give to your clients. And even if you are clueless, a brochure like this absolutely makes you look like you know exactly what you're talking about from start to finish. I have done exactly the same thing. This with the sandals. So again, accessible to anybody online. You've got an overview here. Inspirations. So you've got Jamaica there. They just look gorgeous, don't they? You've got the different venues that are available. So you've got the Overwater Chapel, and it tells you exactly where they're available. So you can see there most resorts, to be honest. You've got the Riverside Pavilion, that's St. Vincent only. Oceanfront Gazebo says most Sandals resorts. Beachfront Wedding at all Sandals resorts. Garden Gazebo. Intimate Resort Chapel at the Montego Bay Sandals. Golf course, if anyone's taken themselves all the way to Curacao. Sky Terrace in Barbados. The offshore island in the Bahamas. Then you've got your different packages here. So elopement, 1 room, a petite wedding for anybody that's booking between 1 and 5 rooms, that is. Your intimate wedding from 6 to 25 rooms, and your grand wedding, or as they call it there, an epic wedding package. Tells you exactly what's included. So obviously, as we were talking about earlier, you've got the reception and everything. So let's not go right the way to the top there. Let's go for petite wedding 1 to 5. So at your reception, you'll get your 1-hour cocktail, chef-inspired hors d'oeuvres, sparkling wine toast, signature cocktail, non-alcoholic beverages, cocktail tables with white linen, a 2-tiered white fondant cake, and a reception table with white linen and white cushion chairs. Now, again, anything that you want to check up, that your client wants to change there, upgrade, make bigger, make smaller, make different color, whatever it might be, you absolutely can do that. And then you've got your planning side of things. So selecting your packages, looking through the venues. And then offers. So we have got here, let's have a look. Wedding offers. What are we being given here? Enjoy the best in amenities, luxury and adventure for travel throughout 2027. Experience Moët Chandon, chocolates, a romantic cruise on the Caribbean Sea, an indulgent candlelit dinner under the stars, an intimate massage for two, a couple's photo shoot. Nice. With regards to offers there, you may find every now and again they will have a percentage off wedding packages. You may find that, and this is with all companies, book X amount of people and you get a free room or all of this kind of thing. It's not all the time. And as I say, weddings are becoming more and more popular, so it's not necessarily that they need to push them, but every now and again you will find offers coming through like that. And finally, I just brought up a Royal Caribbean, again, just because more and more popular, different packages available. With sandals, you just ring them to add on. With cruise companies, you would ring them. To be honest with you, you'd ring them first and just double check on dates and things like that. Obviously, it's completely different to being in a hotel than being, literally on a ship. You have to have the wedding there. You've got no other options. So you've got different packages here. Romance package, intimately yours package, the destination I do package, plenty on there. Tells you about the documents, the license fees, all of that kind of thing. But if in doubt, give them a call and they absolutely will help you. Your ceremony and reception venues there, obviously that will depend on the different ships. Flowers, different cakes. I've got everything on there. As I was saying, things like your photographs, entertainment. So two-piece band, a DJ, sound and light tech, soloist. I've seen before now, there's been options. It wasn't on a cruise, to be honest, but I've seen options for light up dance floors, where you stand on the tiles and they light up, you name it, they do it. Different services here on board Royal Caribbean, shampoo, cut and style, hair up, your manicures, all that kind of thing that people genuinely would want in the lead up to their wedding day. Bar services that you can add on, hors d'oeuvres, food stations. Like I say, you would just give them a call if you wanted any further information. With TUI, I believe that nowadays you would do exactly the same thing in the fact that you would give them a call and obviously tell them what you're interested in, and they would send you a wedding form through. Once you receive that wedding form, as I say, you can then either fill it in on your client's behalf or get them to do it. It's quite nice to send it to them, even if they do eventually need help with it, because it will tell them about the documents that they need. It will tell them about if there's any fees, for example, for certain things. So it's not you sort of constantly having to say, well, you need this and you need that. So I would send it to them anyway, even if they do need your help on filling it in. So that's everything that I've got with regards to weddings. I do hope everybody, like I say, including those that aren't obviously watching in real time, have got something out of it. If you do have any further questions, if you've got anything that you want to go into it a bit deeper. If anybody is thinking that they want to maybe look into specific destinations from a wedding perspective, I will absolutely always try and help. But I just thought the route to go down was a bit of an overview, give you a bit of an idea of destinations, legalities, all that kind of thing. So for as and when, hopefully, the inquiries start coming through for you. It also means that you can go on to TUI. They do have a wedding section on the site, but it also means you can start stealing the photographs. Same with Sandals, of course, and any of the cruise lines that we've got, and you can start posting them on your socials. I don't know one off the top of my head, but literally you could put a photograph on there and put, why not get married in 2026? Price wedding packages from 1999, whatever they might be. But it just means that you can actually start putting it out there that you do them, that you are able to book a wedding. And with weddings comes families and friends and best men and all that kind of thing. So before you know it, you're very much into high commissions, not necessarily group territory, because you will tend to find that they kind of stagger how they book. But so I wouldn't say necessarily you're in group territory. You are to a degree, but you're certainly in high commission territory. Absolutely. So if anybody does have anything at all that they would really, really like to see, please drop me an email and let me know. Thank you very much.